Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome, dear friends. Welcome back to another deep dive.
Assalamu alaikum.
This show, as always, is brought to you by the creators of babulim.app.
And it's part of our AI narrated series based on that really profound historical work, a probe into the history of Ashura.
That's right, authored by the esteemed Dr. Ibrahim Ayati, the Iranian Shia historian and researcher, a remarkable scholar from 1916 to 1964.
And in this particular deep dive, our objective really is to narrate the dramatic and ultimately very tragic turn of events in Kufa.
We're focusing on what led to the martyrdom of Muslim bin Aqil and Hani bin Urwa.
Exactly. We're picking the story up right where we left off last time, diving straight into those crucial, fateful moments that unfolded in Kufa. No recap needed. Let's just jump in.
Okay, let's get right into it then. As we know from our previous discussions, Muslim bin Aqil was in Kufa. He'd established himself, and things seemed hopeful.
Very hopeful initially. He was receiving widespread allegiance on behalf of Imam Husayn, peace be upon him. And the numbers were significant, weren't they? Different sources mention different figures.
That's right. Sheikh Mufid, a really key early historian, he reports 17,000 pledges. Tabari mentions 12,000. Either way, a huge number.
A massive groundswell of support for Imam Husayn's cause. It must have felt like a turning point for those seeking righteous leadership.
It definitely seemed that way. But, well, news travels fast, especially news like this. It reached Yazid in Damascus.
And Yazid, the caliph at the time, he wasn't exactly the type to just sit back and watch his authority being challenged, was he?
Not at all.
Yeah.
And this is where things take a really dark, chilling turn. It shows the brutal realities of power politics back then.
So what did Yazid hear exactly? What was the intelligence coming out of Kufa?
He received quite precise information. He learned first that Muslim bin Aqil was there and actively rallying support. That was key.
Okay.
Second, he heard that the supporters of Imam Ali, the Ahlul Bayt, the Prophet's household, peace be upon them all, were pledging allegiance quite rapidly.
Right. The core supporters were mobilizing.
And third, and this was perhaps the trigger for Yazid's action, he learned that the governor currently in Kufa, Nu'man bin Bashir, was seen as, well, weak.
Weak? How so?
He hadn't taken the kind of decisive, frankly brutal action that Yazid felt was necessary to crush this movement in its infancy. Yazid saw this hesitation as unacceptable.
An unacceptable failure in his eyes. He needed someone different.
He needed an iron fist.
Yeah.
So Yazid made a very, very calculated and utterly ruthless decision.
Which was, who did he choose to replace Nu'man?
He appointed Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. This is detailed in Chapter 4 of Dr. Ayati's book.
Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. Now, that name carries weight. He wasn't just some administrator, was he?
Far from it. And this is what's so strategically significant and, frankly, terrifying.
Yeah.
Ibn Ziyad was already the governor of Basra.
Basra, which was known for
being under incredibly firm, centralized, often brutal control. Yazid's choice wasn't random at all.
No, it was deliberate. He was sending a message.
A very clear message. He was bringing in a figure known throughout the region for his unwavering loyalty to the Umayyads and, disturbingly, for his brutality.
So this wasn't just changing governors. This was an escalation.
A massive escalation. It was a declaration that any dissent in Kufa would be met with overwhelming, merciless force. Ibn Ziyad's reputation preceded him. His appointment signaled a wave of terror was coming.
That really does set a grim stage. So Ibn Ziyad gets the job. What exactly was his mission brief? What were his orders from Yazid?
Chillingly clear
And
singularly focused. Yazid's letter to him, which Dr. Ayati quotes in Chapter 4, left absolutely no room for interpretation.
what did it say?
The mandate was, you should go to Kufa, pursue a Muslim, and captivate, kill, or banish him.
Captivate, kill, or banish. Stark choices.
Exactly. No ambiguity, no suggestion of negotiation or leniency. It was a direct, ruthless order. Eliminate the threat posed by Muslim bin Aqil, period.
It shows Yazid's determination. Crush any challenge, no matter the cost.
Absolutely. Regardless of human life, moral principles, anything. This command essentially laid the groundwork for the immense tragedy that followed. It set the tone.
A declaration of total war against the movement in Kufa.
Precisely.
Okay, so Ibn Ziyad gets these brutal orders. His arrival in Kufa itself, you said it was dramatic. It sounds like it was designed to have maximum psychological impact.
Oh, absolutely. It was pure psychological warfare from the moment he approached the city. He arrived under the cover of night, which was unusual in itself.
At night? Why?
To maximize confusion and fear. He was riding his camel heavily veiled.
Huh?
But here's the really insidious part.
Go on.
The source material suggests he strategically mimicked the way people expected Imam Husayn to arrive.
No. How?
He wore a black turban and veil. The Kufans were eagerly, desperately awaiting Imam Husayn.
So they saw this figure arriving at night, veiled.
And they mistook him for the Imam. They started shouting, joy and hope, peace be upon you, O son of the messenger of Allah.
Oh, that's cruel to play on their hopes like that.
Imagine the scene. That fervent anticipation turning instantly to sheer horror as they realized who it actually was. His true, terrifying identity.
It wasn't just deception, it was weaponizing their hope against them.
Exactly. Turning their anticipation into an instrument of terror.
So once the shock wore off and his identity was revealed and he took control, what were his immediate actions? How did he establish this reign of intimidation?
He wasted absolutely no time. He went straight to the governor's house, the Dar al-Imara, the seat of power.
Right.
And his very first actions were aimed at imposing severe, uncompromising intimidation. You could feel the atmosphere in the city shift almost instantly.
How did he do that? Publicly?
Yes. He mounted the pulpit in the main mosque, the central place for public announcements.
And addressed the people directly.
He delivered stern, unequivocal threats. He announced dire consequences, severe repercussions for anyone who dared to continue supporting Muslim bin Aqil or Imam Husayn.
So no subtlety. A clear message.
A public declaration of iron-fisted rule. He was basically saying, the game has changed. Defiance means death. He needed to crush any resistance before it could even properly form.
And this sudden shift, this immediate imposition of terror, how did it affect the Kufans? Their initial enthusiasm must have taken a hit.
A devastating hit. The equation changed overnight. The greater Ibn Ziyad's grip on Kufa became, the more dangerous it was for Muslim bin Aqil and his companions.
So that initial excitement just evaporated.
It dissipated with shocking speed. That feeling, that mental and religious disposition that had been so favorable to Imam Husayn's cause, the thing that led thousands to pledge allegiance, it just crumbled under the pressure of Ibn Ziyad's iron fist.
It shows how quickly fear can change things.
Drastically. It highlights the precarious nature of their loyalty and, tragically, how effective Ibn Ziyad's brutal tactics were in planting those seeds of fear.
Which brings us to a really profound point. You mentioned Dr. Ayati uses a Quranic verse here to talk about loyalty under pressure.
Yes, it's a central theme in his analysis. It forces us to ask, what is true loyalty? Especially when faith clashes head-on with worldly consequences, with fear for your life.
What's the verse he uses?
He quotes from Surah Al-Ankabut, verse 3. It's on page 35 of chapter 4 in the book. The verse asks, do people think that they will be left alone because they say, we believe, and that they will not be tested?
Do people think that they will not be tested? Wow, that perfectly captures the Kufans' predicament.
It really does. It's a timeless reminder, isn't it? That true belief, real commitment, it's only revealed under duress, when things get difficult, when you face trials.
So how does Dr. Ayati connect this verse specifically to what happened in Kufa? What's his analysis of true belief versus just saying, you believe?
He uses the verse to explain that people are tested precisely to reveal the depth of their commitment. It separates the truly devoted from the superficial or the opportunistic.
And who are the truthful, according to his analysis?
He defines the truthful as those who stick firmly, even at the time of test and trial, to what they have said and assessed.
So, consistency, sticking to your principles.
Exactly. He continues, fear and desire do not dissuade them from the truth, which they have recognized. It's about resilience, unwavering conviction, even when it costs you dearly.
Standing firm when everything is pushing you to compromise.
Precisely. It's a commitment that goes beyond just words or initial feelings.
And sadly, it seems the Kufans, who had seemed so committed just days before, they fell short of that standard.
Tragically, yes.
Yeah.
Their loyalty, which looked so strong when they were pledging to Muslim bin Aqil, it just crumbled under that dual pressure Ibn Ziyad applied.
What were the two pressures again?
Fear and bribery. First, the terror campaign. The threat of severe punishment, public humiliation, even execution for anyone loyal to Imam Husayn's cause. It was simply too much for many.
A stark contrast to the companions at Karbala later on.
An absolute contrast. They faced unimaginable pressure and stood firm. But alongside the fear, Ibn Ziyad also used temptation. Yes, monetary incentives, promises of positions, favors for tribal chieftains, for anyone who was wavering. This combination, the carrot and the stick, it effectively broke the will of so many.
Leading to widespread defection, turning away from Muslim bin Aqil.
Exactly. It shows how worldly gains and fear can corrupt even seemingly strong convictions.
Dr. Ayati's definition of liars in this context is also quite striking. It's not just about people who intended to deceive from the start, is it?
No, and this is a crucial, maybe uncomfortable insight into human nature under pressure. He defines liars not just as those who plot deception from the outset, but also as those whose condition changes at the time of divine test, and what they consider falsehood today was considered truth by them till yesterday.
So people whose beliefs shift when the pressure is on.
Precisely. Their initial intentions, their pledges to Muslim bin Aqil, they might have been sincere at that moment.
But when the test came,
when the real life-altering test arrived, the fear for their lives, their families, their property, or the lure of reward, their commitment just wasn't deep enough. They couldn't sustain it.
They failed the test.
They failed the divine test. And in that failure, their actions became a profound betrayal. What was truth yesterday became falsehood today, abandoned for self-preservation or gain. It's a chilling thought.
It really is. So Ibn Ziyad wasn't just relying on these open threats and bribes. He was also working behind the scenes, wasn't he?
This brings us to the spy.
Yes, this is a classic, albeit tragic, case of espionage. He knew he couldn't just rely on overt force. He needed inside information.
Because Muslim bin Aqil was being careful.
Extremely careful. Ibn Ziyad recognized this. Muslim was keeping a low profile, moving between safe houses, making him very hard to find through normal surveillance.
So Ibn Ziyad needed a more insidious approach.
Exactly. He needed someone on the inside. It shows his cunning, his determination to leave absolutely no stone unturned.
Who was the agent he chose? And how did he set this up?
He chose his own slave, a man named Makwal. His slave.
Yes. He gave Makwal a significant amount of money, 3,000 dirhams, which was a lot back then.
Okay. And the instructions.
Makwal was instructed to pose meticulously as a deeply devoted supporter of the Ahlul Bayt, the Prophet's family, and their cause. This is covered on page 36 of chapter 4.
So pretend to be one of them.
Exactly. He was told to spend a few days mixing with Muslim bin Aqil's known friends, acting the part, gaining their trust. And then, crucially, he was to offer the 3,000 dirhams as a heartfelt donation, specifically for buying weapons and supplies, procurement of implements of war.
A tangible sign of commitment, designed to make him look completely genuine.
Precisely. To solidify his cover and prove his dedication.
And did it work? Was Makwal convincing in this role?
Chillingly effective. He approached one of Muslim bin Aqil's key aides, Muslim bin Asaja.
Okay.
And he put on quite a performance, shedding crocodile tears, as the text puts it.
Crocodile tears, meaning false tears.
Yes. Feigning deep regret that he hadn't been able to meet Muslim bin Aqil sooner to offer his petty amount for the cause. He played the part of the sincere, devoted Muslim brother perfectly.
Wow. He even offered to do what?
To cement his cover completely, he even offered to take the oath of allegiance to Imam Husayn before even meeting Muslim bin Aqil, showing extreme eagerness.
That would seem very convincing. Beyond suspicion.
It was. This elaborate act gained him the confidence of the inner circle. He started his infiltration successfully.
So once he was in, how did he exploit that trust to get the information Ibn Ziyad needed?
He played the long game. He started regularly visiting the house of Muslim bin Asaja. Slowly, carefully, he gained direct access to Muslim bin Aqil himself.
And pledged allegiance directly to him.
Yes. Then, following Muslim bin Aqil's instructions, he presented the 3,000 dirhams to Abu Tamama Saidi Hamdani,
who was responsible for logistics.
Exactly. Procuring arms, food, provisions. So giving the money to him not only cemented Makwal's trustworthiness, but also gave him a direct view into their operations, their plans, their needs, their network.
He wasn't just a spy anymore. He was embedded.
Deeply embedded. He became a regular fixture. Reportedly, he made a point of being the first to arrive and the last to leave their secret meetings.
Gathering everything.
Every detail. Activities, strategies, names. He then fed all this critical intelligence back to Ibn Ziyad through regular, detailed reports.
Giving Ibn Ziyad a clear picture.
A complete picture, including the most crucial piece of information. Muslim bin Aqil's current hiding place.
Which was where?
In the house of the respected chieftain Hani bin Urwa Muradi.
Ah, Hani. This is where it comes into focus. Makwal's betrayal directly led Ibn Ziyad to Hani's door.
It was the pivotal moment, the culmination of the espionage plot. Ibn Ziyad now knew exactly where his primary target was being sheltered. It was time to move against the host.
So the trap is set, and Hani bin Urwa becomes the first major target. A respected figure, a true supporter of the Al-Bayt. His arrest must have sent shockwaves.
It was absolutely intended to. It was a clear signal. Loyalty to the Al-Bayt, even from prominent figures, would not be tolerated. No one was safe.
And Ibn Ziyad decided Hani had to be arrested first?
Yes, strategically, because he was hosting Muslim bin Aqil. Neutralize the host, isolate the guest.
Did Hani realize the danger? Does he try to avoid Ibn Ziyad?
Oh, he was acutely aware. The danger was palpable. He initially tried to avoid a direct confrontation by confining himself to his house, claiming he was ill.
Feigning illness. A common tactic.
Yes, a way to avoid an unwelcome summons from authorities without outright defiance. But Ibn Ziyad wasn't going to be put off that easily.
He wouldn't let Hani hide.
No. He needed Hani, so he used leverage.
How? Who did he send?
He ordered other influential Kufan figures, Muhammad bin Ashath, Asmad bin Kharija, Amir bin Hajjaj, Zubaydi. These were respected chieftains themselves.
Why the?
Their presence would add pressure. Maybe Hani would feel obligated to respond to his peers. They approached Hani, likely under duress themselves from Ibn Ziyad.
Right, fear was spreading.
And they compelled Hani to come with them, using the pretext of an urgent summons from the governor that couldn't be ignored.
So Hani was essentially forced out of his house.
Yes. It showed Ibn Ziyad's growing power, his ability to bend even respected leaders to his will. The old social order was crumbling fast.
And once Hani arrived at the governor's palace, what happened? Was there any pretense left?
None whatsoever. The brutal truth was immediately apparent. Ibn Ziyad confronted him directly, menacingly.
Demanding what?
Demanding that Hani surrender Muslim bin Aqil, hand over his guest.
And Hani's response? Did he break?
He did not. He showed incredible courage, unwavering loyalty. He stood firm and declared, loud enough for others perhaps to hear, "By Allah, I will not surrender him to you."
Wow. Direct defiance, even facing the tyrant himself.
It's a testament to his character, his commitment to the laws of hospitality, and his deep loyalty to Imam Husayn's cause. He refused to betray his guest, even knowing the likely cost.
Such bravery. How did Ibn Ziyad react to being defied so openly by a respected figure?
With immediate savage brutality. It was calculated, designed to horrify.
What did he do?
In a fit of rage, he attacked Hani himself. He took a stick he was holding and struck Hani repeatedly. On his face, his nose, his head, a brutal public humiliation.
He physically assaulted him in the palace.
Yes, a calculated act of cruelty in front of others. Then Hani was immediately arrested.
The message was clear.
Absolutely clear. No one, regardless of status, was safe if they showed loyalty to the Al-Bayt. It was a terrifying confirmation of the shift in power, the depth of the tyranny engulfing Kufa.
This brings us to such a heartbreaking part of the story. Muslim bin Aqil hears about Hani's arrest, his brutalization. He must have known he had to act.
He had no choice. His host, his protector, had been taken and abused. The time for secrecy was over. Open confrontation was forced upon him.
So he called upon his supporters. But what followed? It's just shocking, a complete abandonment.
It truly illustrates the fragility of that popular support. When faced with overwhelming fear and Ibn Ziyad's propaganda, how quickly resolve can just melt away.
So Muslim bin Aqil issues the call to arms. What was the initial response? Remember, thousands had pledged allegiance.
He called them to rise, to defend Hani, to defend the cause. Remember the numbers, 12,000, maybe 17,000 pledges. Theoretically, a powerful force.
And did they come initially?
They did. Initially, the response looked promising. A large number, the sources say up to 4,000 armed men, gathered quickly.
4,000? That's substantial. What did they do?
They encircled Ibn Ziyad's palace, the Dar al-Imara. They were openly abusing Ibn Ziyad and his father. A direct challenge.
So for a moment, it looked like they might actually succeed.
For a fleeting moment, yes. It seemed Muslim bin Aqil had the force to potentially take control. The momentum seemed to be with them. Hope flickered again.
But it was fleeting. What happened? How did 4,000 armed men just disappear?
It was devastatingly swift. The text mentions, almost chillingly, that only one false rumor spread by the supporters of Ibn Ziyad that the Syrian army was arriving scattered all of them.
One rumor that the Syrian army was coming.
Yes, that was enough. It shows the incredible power of fear and propaganda. That rumor, likely completely false, preyed on their deepest anxieties.
Their initial courage just vanished.
Right.
Replaced by
a desperate instinct for self-preservation. It revealed how superficial their commitment really was when faced with perceived overwhelming danger. The rumor was a weapon, and it worked perfectly.
It's hard to comprehend the scale of that abandonment. How quickly did Muslim bin Aqil go from leading thousands to being alone?
Shockingly quickly. Think about this timeline. By the time Muslim bin Aqil offered the evening prayers, Maghrib prayers, on the night of the 9th of Dhul Hijjah.
A significant night, the eve of Arafah.
Exactly. In the Kufa Masjid, that force of 4,000 had dwindled to just 30 people praying behind him.
30 from 4,000.
Just 30. And it gets worse. As he prepared to leave the mosque after prayers, only 10 remained with him.
10.
And then, the final crushing blow. By the time he actually walked out of the masjid doors into the streets of Kufa,
Yes.
there was not even one person who might accompany him. Not a single soul.
Completely alone, utterly abandoned in a city that had promised him everything.
Utterly alone, wandering the streets of Kufa, as the text says, in a state of distress and perplexity and could not find his way, lost in the city that betrayed him.
It's the ultimate example of that Quranic test, isn't it? Revealing the truthful and the liars.
A profound testament to their failure. The fear, the opportunism, it just overwhelmed their initial promises. A tragic foreshadowing of Karbala itself.
Which brings us to the final act. The tragic yet incredibly brave martyrdom of Muslim bin Aqil and Hani bin Urwa. Their steadfastness shines so brightly against the darkness of that betrayal.
It truly does. It's a moment of immense sorrow, but also profound spiritual strength. It teaches us so much about courage and principle.
So, Muslim bin Aqil is alone, wandering the streets. Where did he go? What happened that final night?
He found temporary refuge in the house of a woman named Taha. She saw him, alone and thirsty, and out of simple human compassion took him in.
An act of kindness in a sea of betrayal.
A stark contrast. A reminder that goodness can persist even in the darkest times. She gave him shelter and water.
But that refuge couldn't last, could it?
No. The next day, Ibn Ziyad's forces, acting on the intelligence likely gathered through Maqwil's network, located the house.
They besieged it.
Yes. Muslim bin Aqil was cornered. But he didn't surrender meekly.
He fought back.
He came out and fought valiantly. Even alone, wounded, he displayed incredible bravery and skill, inflicting casualties on his attackers. He fought until he was overwhelmed and captured.
A final defiant stand. Before his execution, did he manage to send any last message? Especially to Imam Husayn.
Yes, and this is such a crucial, poignant detail. In his final moments, knowing his fate, he managed to get a message out.
What was the message?
He desperately urged Imam Husayn to turn back. He warned him explicitly about the Kufans, their betrayal, their unreliability. He essentially told the Imam not to come, that the support wasn't there.
He tried to save the Imam from the same fate.
He did. He even reportedly told someone, Muhammad ibn Ashad, who had captured him, "I see you are unable to grant me protection. Could you send someone from your own side to convey my message to Husayn?" He wanted to ensure the warning got through.
Did the message reach the Imam in time?
The timing is debated by historians, but tragically it seems it either didn't reach him in time to change his course, or perhaps the Imam's journey was guided by a divine plan that went beyond this immediate warning. But Muslim bin Aqil certainly tried.
And the executions, how were he and Hani martyred? Was it done publicly?
With extreme calculated brutality, designed to terrorize, Muslim bin Aqil was taken to the top of the governor's palace.
The very symbol of Ibn Ziyad's power.
Exactly. And he was martyred by being thrown from the roof. His sacred body was then dragged through the streets, a horrifying spectacle.
And how?
Hani bin Urwa, still imprisoned, was martyred on the same day. He was taken to the marketplace and his head was struck off publicly.
Simultaneous executions, maximum impact.
Designed to crush any remaining spirit of resistance and send a chilling message of absolute control.
And as a final gruesome act, what did Ibn Ziyad do with their heads?
In a grotesque display of triumph, the heads of both Muslim bin Aqil and Hani bin Urwa were severed and sent to Yazid in Damascus.
A trophy for the caliph.
Intended as a deterrent, a warning to anyone else who might dare challenge Umayyad rule, showing the lengths they would go to.
But history remembers them differently.
Absolutely. These horrific acts didn't diminish their cause. They solidified their names as revered martyrs for truth and justice. Their sacrifice forever stains their oppressors and highlights the profound injustice they faced.
And the love and affection we feel for them, for the Ahlul Bayt, it just reinforces the depth of their sacrifice.
It ensures their legacy endures, inspiring courage and commitment to principles, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Their stand teaches us so much.
Indeed. The betrayal of Kufa, ending in the martyrdom of Muslim bin Aqil and Hani bin Urwa, it's such a somber yet crucial chapter in the story of Ashura.
It really lays bare the devastating impact of fear, of wavering loyalty. It stands in such sharp contrast to the unwavering commitment of those who sacrificed everything.
It's a stark reminder of that ultimate test of faith and principles we discussed.
Exactly. And this sequence of events, as tragic as it was, it set the stage. It paved the way for the greater defining tragedy of Karbala.
Which cemented the eternal legacy of Imam Husayn and his companions. Their stand became a beacon for all time.
A beacon of truth, justice, and resistance against tyranny.
So next time on The Deep Dive, we will follow that path. We'll delve into the journey of no return.
We'll explore Imam Husayn's solemn journey towards Karbala, the profound choices made along the way, and try to understand the divine wisdom behind each step of that sacred, history-altering path.
We really hope you'll join us for that. We hope this deep dive has offered some valuable insights and deepened your appreciation for the immense sacrifices made during these pivotal moments.
We certainly hope so. It's a history filled with profound lessons.
Thank you for joining us, Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz. May Allah enhance His blessings of guidance upon us all.
And grant us abundant success in acquiring knowledge. Ameen.